Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this. Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Every time I say it, it's going to suck even more.
May I present to you the cat?
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing.
Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And Caleb.
Hey.
And we are here to talk all things tech, but also CES this week.
Tech coma.
Tech. It's quite the thing we're going to be talking about. CES. We enjoy covering this every year because there's, tech and everything, from shower heads to toasters to, I don't know, all sorts of,
weirdly, the only toaster that I saw at CES this year is actually a toaster for your phone. So we'll get into that.
And strangely enough, we don't have a toilet to talk about this year.
No, I didn't see any
toilets are old
toilets.
news, I guess. I don't know.
No AI toilets. Dang
it. Artificial toilets. Don't worry, you're not crapping.
We fill it for you.
We fill it for you. By the way,
that's
you
just
need to
AI.
stop eating dairy.
I feel like.
Yeah. Well, most of this is toilet talk anyway. Let's get into this CES 2025. First thing on the docket here, we're going to talk about some Nvidia. They announced the 50 series GPUs.
Yep, they did. And it's fine. It's fine. The news is fine.
Did you see how I think I want to look it up. I forgot to look it up. I was gonna, but how they clocked these, what they used the term
freaking the AI tops or whatever it was.
It's not flops, it's AI tops.
So to be clear, listener, this was, we don't have benchmarks or third-party reviews or anything like this. We just have NVIDIA's announcement of them. So any performance numbers you see for these cards, you have to basically just bury them in salt, right? Don't take any of it seriously.
Yes.
What they did announce was everything from the 5090 down to the 5070. 5090 starts at $2,000, which is freaking a lot of money for a GPU.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's that. The 5070 starts at $550, which is a lot less expensive than it could be. I think we all agree. The 5070 from last generation the 4070, I think, started at around $800 or something like that. So this is a significant step down in price. I suspect we have the Intel Arc GPUs to thank for that. So thank you, Intel, for releasing good quality mid-range GPUs that are extremely price competitive and forcing stuff like this to happen, because that is a gigantic spread from the 5070 to the 5090, from $550 to $2,000. Now, to be clear, this isn't just 5070, 5080, and 5090, because they announced the 5070, 5070 Ti, and then 5080, and then the 5090.
Yes.
So the 5080 was like, what was it, like $1,200 or $1,100 or something like that, and the 5070 or was it $1,000 and the 5070 Ti was $800 or something like that. But it's a huge price spread between all of these cards. Gigantic. So pretty much guarantee that Nvidia was not planning on doing that until Intel launched those Arc GPUs. So good job, Intel. Now the other noteworthy thing is that Nvidia on stage put up a slide that said that the 5070, the $550 card, had equivalent performance to a 4090, which is like a $1,600 card. To be clear, listener, this is bogus. This is nonsense. It's baloney. There's no way in snot you're going to be able to get a 5070 to output the same frames as a 4090. the way that they're able to fudge it to make it look that way is twofold. First of all, they announced the new version of DLSS, DLSS 4, which is more frames than the old version and is going to be, I think, exclusive to the 50 series cards, at least at launch. And so, it's like, oh, well, yeah, that's basically DLSS 4 is a lot better than DLSS 3. And so 5070 running DLSS 4 is going to perform about the same as a 4090, possibly not even a 4090 running DLSS, right? Like, that's the thing. They might be saying, yes, but if you turn on DLSS 4, you'll get the same amount of frames as a 4090 with no AI upscaling assistance. So, okay, that's baloney. The other reason is that they're comparing these quote-unquote AI tops, right? So I don't know what the T stands for. Operations per second. AI, some kind of operations per second. It's basically just tracking how good these cards are at doing AI stuff. And the 50 series cards have a lot more dedicated AI processing hardware in them than the 40 series cards did.
Right.
In fact, did the 40 series cards have any of these new AI cores that Nvidia
I don't
has?
remember anything.
I honestly can't recall.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying is like, yeah, the 5070 does AI processing at the same rate as the 4090. So? What? Nobody cares about what Nvidia. So I think just ignore all of Nvidia's performance claims. I'm sure that the 5070 is a lot faster than the 4070. It's not going to be as fast as the 4090. Let's wait until, Gamers Nexus gets their hands on these cards, Hardware Unboxed gets their hands on these cards, does some tests, then we'll know. Until then, it's all just nonsense. But at the very least, the prices for the 5070 at least look pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's all I really want to say about that.
Good old AI tops. Is that a nominee on our worst tech name? AI tops.
Listen, anything that has the letters AI in it, I automatically hate. But we can't just put everything that has the letters AI in it, because everything.
True. All right, moving on. Oh, boy. Some more graphics cards. AMD announces the Radeon GPUs.
Yes.
Take it away, Caleb.
And in stark contrast to NVIDIA's announcement, they had nothing to say about these cards. It was freaking weird the way they did this. Like, they quote unquote announced them to like their media partners, the influencers and news outlets and stuff that they work with. They told them about them a little bit. They gave them a couple of small details, and then they had their keynote and didn't say anything about them. Then they had a different keynote dedicated to AI and had one slide that just kind of mentioned them. I don't know what's going on, but essentially, yeah, Radeon GPUs. AMD has announced the first two GPUs in the next generation of Radeon desktop graphics cards, and they are going to the 9000 series. They're skipping the 8000 series. I guess they're going to be using 8000 for some mobile GPUs or something like that, but the 9000 series is going to be their next generation desktop GPUs. They've announced the 9070 and 9070 XT. Now, listener, if you know of AMD's graphics cards for the past few years, they typically have a naming convention that is like Radeon RX and then a 4-digit number that is usually, first number is the generation of the card, second number is like, where in the hierarchy that card sits, and then the third and fourth number are used for like minor revision, like changes and stuff like that. And then if it's a really good card, they'll put an XT on the end of it or stuff like this. Basically, the XT is just AMD's version of the TI that NVIDIA uses. That's how it's been. But now it's a 9070 and 9070 XT, which may sound an awful lot like, say this 5070 and 5070 Ti that NVIDIA just announced. Because I guess AMD is now changing the branding of their cards to confuse consumers. No, make it easier for consumers to tell how their cards match up against NVIDIA's. That's what they're saying.
Obviously, AMDs are better because they're 90, not 50.
There you go.
That's
Bigger
it.
number.
Bigger, better
I
number.
think that's genuinely what they're hoping happens. They're all like, well, no. See, this way you know that the 9070 and the 9070 XT are going to compare to the 70 class cards from Nvidia, and maybe like the 80, like lower end 80 class cards in the case of the 9070 XT. Sure, AMD. we'll go with that.
Thanks. Well, let's move on to the next one here. Also, the new Ryzen CPUs for mobile.
Yep. If you're buying laptops here in the near future, listener, you're going to be able to get Ryzen laptops that are, current generation Zen cores and stuff like that, which means they're going to have the 9000 series processors in them. So that's great. If you're buying a laptop and it's got an AMD processor in it and it says 99 something HX or whatever, that means that it's a really high end processor that's the latest generation, and that's great. So go for that. The naming schemes for these things are very convoluted and kind of insane, and that's kind of always been the case for AMD, but the main takeaway is that they now have some of their high-end laptop chips that will also have 3D V-cache with the processors, which has been a really great thing for gaming on the desktop side of things. So if you want to buy a gaming laptop, you can now get AMD gaming laptops that have 3D V-cache, which is cool.
Cool. 3D V-cache. Fair. All right. Moving on. Dell. They did some interesting things. They rebranded all their stuff.
Yeah, this was... Look, I've complained about Apple's naming schemes for their phones for literal years on this podcast, so I don't think I need to go into much detail as to why I hate all of this stuff. If you want to, you can go back and listen to the past 5 years of podcast, listener. That's how you find out why I hate this stuff.
Yes.
Dell is no longer, they're getting rid of their, the XPS and the Inspiron and the whatever product names for their laptops and desktops and stuff like that. They're rebranding everything to Dell, Dell Pro, and Dell Pro Max. So even better, it's actually like not just like those three tiers. There's a matrix of things, because inside of each of those you have a base tier, which is just the thing that I just said, or you can have a plus tier or a premium tier, right? So essentially, Dell refers to their consumer grade computers. Dell Pro are their computers made for professional use cases. Like, so they're traditionally kind of business oriented stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Dell Pro Max are their super powerful high-end workstations. This applies to both laptops and desktops. That's just how it is. You want a super high pro-end, like pro workstation for big number crunching and stuff like that, you're looking at Dell Pro Max, whether it's a laptop or a desktop. And if you just want something that's professional business laptop, Dell Pro, right? But you can get a Dell for consumer stuff, but you can also get a Dell Plus or a Dell Premium, or you can get the Dell Pro or a Dell Pro Plus or a Dell Pro Premium, or you can get a Dell Pro Max or a Dell Pro Max Plus or a Dell Pro Max Premium. That is
Listener,
now the naming scheme they're going with.
you need to get some caffeine to go back and re-listen to that whole thing. Please feel free.
So good work, Dell. That is the most Apple thing. They basically, this is like them going, you know what Apple did really good? When Steve Jobs came back to save the company from bankruptcy, he killed off all of their stuff and simplified their product stack and all that. He did do that, and it was very straightforward for a few years there. But he was trying to save the company from bankruptcy, Dell. Is this your way of crying out for help? Like, we're about to go under and we need to completely rebrand everything to try and do a Steve Jobs? And also, Steve Jobs isn't responsible for the whole, iPhone iPhone Plus, iPhone Pro, iPhone Pro Max. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this isn't the move. But oh well.
Oh, and what they're not telling you is that the only difference between the Dell Pro and the Dell Pro Max is a slightly larger screen and maybe a better camera.
It's probably the amount of RAM it has, if we're being honest. It's just like, yeah, if you get a Dell Pro Max, you get like 2 terabytes of RAM. It's like,
no, it's just a bigger screen, just like the phones.
That's fair. Yeah.
They're really going in on the copy Apple thing.
I guess. All right, let's move on to the next thing here. Qualcomm. They announced an even worse Snapdragon PC chip.
So, to be clear, this isn't necessarily a dig at the Snapdragon X Elite. Like, in some ways, it is really good. Okay, in one way, namely efficiency, so, improved battery life, less energy usage, it's really good. But in a lot of other ways, like processing and being able to run software smoothly and that kind of thing, it was not quite the Apple Silicon moment for the PC world that Qualcomm promised it was going to be. And they have now released a new processor in the line called the Snapdragon X instead of the Snapdragon X Plus or Snapdragon X Elite. Just based off of that naming, you might be able to assume, listener, that this is a worse than those other two. So yeah, that's the thing. If you find a Snapdragon X powered computer out in the wild, you might be better off just not. Yeah. Just don't do that one. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving to the next thing here. Lenovo, they announced the Legion Go S handheld gaming PC.
This is actually great news. Not necessarily because the Legion Go S is anything particularly special. It's a new Lenovo Legion handheld PC. Retail prices a little bit under $500, I think, or was it just over $500? So fairly reasonably priced. The Legion Go is a good handheld option out there. What makes this one special is that there's going to be a version running SteamOS.
Yep.
So there it is, confirmed. SteamOS running on a non-Valve made device. There will also be versions of it running Windows. And later on this year, Lenovo says that there's going to be a non-S version of the Legion Go that's going to be updated that will also be running SteamOS. So this is a thing. Steam, like, Valve is licensing, or is... I don't even know if they're licensing. Probably there's some kind of license fee being paid for them to be shipping this thing with SteamOS. But SteamOS being an open source operating system is kind of like, I mean, maybe there's no license fee even.
Well, I wondered that as well, because I noticed the pricing on the... So the Windows version starts at $600. The SteamOS one is going to start at $500.
I think that the Windows version,
though, isn't it?
I think the Windows version, at least initially, is going to have a more powerful processor than the SteamOS version. It's shipping with a slightly upgraded version of the latest version of AMD's what are they called? Z something. I can't remember. The processors that they made specifically for handheld gaming PCs. I think that the Windows version gets a slightly more upscale version of that processor. So that's why the price difference is there.
Gotcha.
But honestly, licensing, like OS licensing, might also play into that. It's entirely possible.
I'm assuming, because they can't make money on Windows 11 anywhere else.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I do hope that that Valve is getting something from SteamOS being licensed out or put onto things. They might not be charging as much as Microsoft is, but I do hope they're getting something, because that means that they're making money off of it, which means they're actually going to want to put some effort into keeping it updated and putting games on it and whatnot.
Right.
So,
I yes, but also Valve is probably happy with just getting just guaranteed sales.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
Valve is probably happy with, Steam is going to be installed on all of these Legion Go devices. People are going to be buying games through Steam, and that 30% cut that they're getting is enough for them.
Yeah.
That might be. I mean...
That's fair.
And that honestly ties into this next thing. Wes, I'm just gonna say it because this is like basically a sub bullet of the Legion Go announcement. Kind of as a part of this, Valve, like engineers from Valve that were at CES talking to people, confirmed that SteamOS is going to be getting a public release sometime this year. They don't have like a specific date or anything like that, but alongside the Legion Go S shipping with SteamOS, they're all like, yeah, we're going to have like a public release version of SteamOS ready to go sometime in 2025, which, you know, that'll be free. It's a free operating system designed for playing video games. And I'm sitting over here like, you know what? That is 100%. I'm going to go just get myself kind of a lower end SSD to install that OS on so that I can stick it in my computer alongside my game library, which is on a separate drive, not my boot drive. And then I'll just import all of the games from that archive drive into SteamOS just to see how many of them I can play. Because I got to tell you, if it's a large enough percentage, I may be ditching Windows this year.
I mean, yeah.
Like they have been bugging me about Windows 11 for long enough. So no, this is, and you know, coming a week after my wish list, I'm feeling pretty good about that one item on my wish list that was SteamOS.
I mean, yeah, but you also knew that was coming. So
that was, like I said, I felt pretty good about that one. It's nice to get it confirmed so early on in the year.
Yeah, also to just add a little bit to it, I didn't write it on here. About the Windows version on that, they had Jason Ronald come out, and he actually on an side interview talked about what they're wanting to do with the handheld for Xbox on Xbox's side of things, because they talked about the Legion Go OS and what they're doing. But the big thing that they were talking about is they want the best of Xbox and Windows together, is the quote unquote what they were saying for this next handheld that they're saying. So I don't know what that means, but hey,
going back to Windows 10.
I was going to say it means Windows 10. If that's not what they sell, then they're wrong.
So we'll see what that means. But yeah, he had a small interview about it and what they're bringing this year. And so I guess that's part of my wish list. You know, we were talking about that this might happen anyway. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll have more on there. I was trying to look it up if there was more little details on that, but no, that's the big takeaway. The people are really speculating with that. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll see something. All right, moving on. We got the MCON mobile controller.
This is
something. Say that correctly?
Yes. You
okay.
Did. So this is something that I added to the list, listener, because when it comes to gaming stuff, it's got to be mobile, right? Right?
True.
Granted, this isn't my kind of mobile gaming, but it is kind of a cool device. So there are plenty of like controllers that can snap onto your phone in one way or another, but I really like this one. The MCON, they call it the switchblade of mobile controllers, and it kind of makes sense because they worked with a company called OSnap, which you may have heard of them. They make little MagSafe things that go on the back of your phone. I actually have one that has a little, like a pop socket type thing that also works as a kickstand, and I love it. It works great. They worked with this company to get the manufacturing of it ready to go and also make it so it's MagSafe compatible. So it can just slap onto the back of your phone if you have a MagSafe phone or a MagSafe case. And they do have little adapters for Android phones that don't have MagSafe, which is all of them at the moment. So that's nice. It is in Kickstarter right now, but they have their goal was $25,000. They're currently sitting at 1.1 million. So
yeah, okay.
They've definitely hit that goal and surpassed it by a lot. If you want to get one, it's $119 right now for the early bird version on Kickstarter. But the cool thing about this, so like I said, it slaps onto the back of the phone and then it flips out. So like you can have it on the back there and you won't even see it. It does add a significant thickness to the phone, but it'll slide out and then it's got 2 extra what do they call it? They call them fold out grips. So they kind of fold out, so it makes it so it's easier to hold, and all the buttons and controllers are all there. Like it's got joysticks, and they've also mentioned how the buttons are silent. So if you're playing in a place where you can't really be making a lot of clicking noises and stuff like that, it makes it so you can do that. And they also made it so you can customize it down the road. Initially, they have a black version and a white version, but they just put it all together with just your typical Torx screwdriver screws. So you can take it apart and switch out all the buttons for different colors, or the joysticks, or the fold out grips, or different things like that. So you can have customization on these things pretty easily. Right now, I don't know if they have a ship date for them yet, because, like I said, it is on Kickstarter. But I just thought it was really cool. It does work via Bluetooth on your phone, but it does come with the USB-C cable in the box that you can plug it in that way if you want to do it that way. So I saw this, I thought it was really cool, so I had to mention it, because I'm not the type of person that would need one of these controllers, because I don't use my phone gaming in this sort of way. But for those that do, I think it's a really cool way, compact and portable way of having a mobile controller that can just slap on the back of your phone really easily.
I mean, I'm looking at the thing right now, and basically, if you, listener, ever look back on that phone that was made in partnership with PlayStation that had the slide out little gamepad on it, this is that vibe, real strong.
Very much so.
And this is why is it expensive? Dang it.
Yeah, it's not cheap at $120, but
no,
it is really cool.
Oh, it's spring loaded. Holy crap.
Oh yeah,
that sucker really pops out there.
Forgot to mention that it is spring loaded.
Jeez Louise.
You just slide it one way and it'll snap out into place, and it's really cool.
Oh man, it does look very cool. And my phone runs emulators now.
I am seeing here they have an estimated delivery of August of this year, so it's really not that late into the year that they're planning on shipping these. Now, don't bank on that happening.
Yeah,
that is an estimated delivery. It is Kickstarter. It could change, probably will, but yeah.
That is pretty cool, though. I was watching that, seeing pictures of it. Even I kind of want it.
Yeah.
All right. Next thing, Sony is still talking about Afeela. Is that how you say Afeela?
Yeah, the Afeela. You remember the Sony car from a couple of years back at CES? That sucker. So yes, this is a car that Sony is developing in partnership with Honda. It's going to be like a fully electric kind of whatever thing. And they announced some prices for it. It's going to start at like $86,000 or something like that. And I think the era of luxury, kind of game-changing, techie, full electric cars, I think we've officially passed that. I think that governments and consumers around the world are beginning to recognize that from an efficiency and usability standpoint, we're not quite at the point of full electric making sense. And we probably won't be until we have liquid batteries or something like that you can exchange in the same amount of time it takes to fill up a gas tank. or fully solar powered cars that never need to actually plug in to charge, or something like that. Some kind of hybrid in this day and age seems to make a lot more sense for the majority of people. Mm-hmm. And Sony's still rolling out the Afeela on stage at CES. Okay. Good job, Sony.
Yeah. Maybe there were some investors that were like, you need to get this out or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on. we're going to talk about the weird crap.
Yeah. So
like
CES,
this wasn't weird enough.
CES listener. No, this is all the normal stuff. This is all the mundane pedestrian nonsense from CES. Let's talk about the weird shiz. So I'm just gonna, I got like a bullet point list here. I'm just gonna read through these. If we want to stop and talk about specifically why some of these are particularly weird, we can totally do that. But I'm gonna move fairly quick, so stop me if you want to say something about one of these freakish things.
Okay.
So the first of all, I mentioned this earlier, listener, the Swipit Hub, which is a toaster for your phone's battery case, where you stick a battery case onto your phone, and then if you want to change out the battery in it because it is dead, you drop it into this toaster. It sounds like a freaking VCR for a second, and then it spits it back out with a new battery installed. So, okay, that's fun.
That's amazing.
Unitree robots. We're showing off some, basically, the Boston Dynamics robot dogs on meth. They cost way less. You know, they start at like $2,500 instead of like $60,000 or something. But they freaking, these things are super bizarre and kind of concerning. The Jizai Mimo, which is a robot side table with spider legs. Just kind of walks around and has a lamp on it that looks like the Pixar lamp. It's weird.
It's not creepy at all.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I wouldn't mind that in my house in any way. The Roborock Ceros Z70 is a robot vacuum with an arm that pops up out of the top so that it can move small things out of the path of the vacuum as it is vacuuming. Yes. So if you leave some socks on the floor or something, it can move those. It is unfortunately not going to do anything about like your robot side table, but presumably that can move itself, you'd think. Then there was the SwitchBot K20, which is essentially kind of a robot ecosystem, which is essentially just like a robot vacuum that you can put a side table on. If for some reason you want a robot vacuum with a side table, it also has like robot arms that attach to it and a few other different things. It was, I don't know. Somebody looked at robot vacuum and went, that's all we need. We don't need different types of robots, just a robot vacuum with attachments and we're good.
That's amazing.
Razer. Normally, Razer shows up at CES with some really wild crap. This year, it's a heated and cooled chair, which is a little bit disappointing, Razer. I gotta be honest. That was, it's strange that you put the R&D effort into making a chair that blows warm air at your butt. But
what's disappointing to me is that this wasn't a thing 10 years ago.
Yeah, fair. Valid.
Maybe they just didn't have any ideas. And they had this idea 10 years ago. I was like, well, let's just do this now.
I guess we'll do that now. Yeah.
They put all of their idea, thinking brain crap into that mask they made a few years ago. And like, we can't innovate past that. Let's just put heat and cooling into the chair,
Yep. That's it. Yeah. Can't beat that freaking, that was a weird with the voice changer and everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Then the Yukai Engineering Mirumi, which is a fuzzy backpack clingy robot thing that looks at people.
Yeah.
It's just a little robot, little fuzzy robot that you put on your backpack, and it will just look at the people around you.
It
doesn't do anything, doesn't say the stuff or interact, doesn't have an integrated LLM or do AI stuff or anything, doesn't even blink, just like endless staring eyes. It just turns and looks at the people nearby. So that's friggin' just
creepy.
A bushel of nope in a backpack.
I just got a great idea, and I really hope that somebody hacks into this thing and somehow gets the AI bot thing that's like inside of the Carrot weather app, gets that snarky ability and throws it into this, and it just starts saying things to these people.
As far as I'm aware, it doesn't even have like a speaker in it or something like that. Like it's just a thing that looks at people and follows them. What? No. Their justification for this product is they wanted to make something that people could buy that would bring joy to the people around them. And I'm like, a creepy staring robot doll is not going to do that for anybody. And if it does, they probably ought to be on a watch list somewhere. I don't know.
Tell me what your definition of joy is.
Yeah, I think that's key. Are you sociopaths? Like, tell me you're a sociopath without telling me you're a sociopath.
At least, I mean, to be fair, at least they made it look more like a pink monkey instead of like this creepy baby doll type thing that looks at you, because that would be worse.
That's true. Well,
speaking of,
let me tell you about this next item. TCL's Amy, which, listener, is spelled AI-me. It's like AIME. 2 words, but it's pronounced Amy. It's a robot sibling for your kids, essentially. That's what they're pitching it as. Yeah. It's like this little kind of chunky robot thing that has like a cradle and everything, and will ask questions and stuff like that. So this one does have an integrated LLM and will like talk to people and interact with people and carry on conversations. They had a little video showing it off, and there's like a little kid in this video that keeps interacting with this thing, and it's like asking the kid questions. And one of the questions it asked was, "What is living?" This kid's like 6 years old, and I'm all like,
wow.
What kind of philosophical nonsense is this? So
I mean, I'm looking at this video right now. I'm not listening to it, but I'm looking at it, and it itself kind of looks AI generated.
Uh-huh. Parts of it might be. Let's be honest.
Fun.
Yeah.
No. Oh, geez. It was. Yeah, that thing. Freaking. It's a super creepy, pretty dystopian product in the first place. In the second place, that name is already on the list of nominees for worst tech name of the year because I hate that concept of like, oh yes, Amy. It's AI me. That works. Anyways, TCL. Bye.
Yikes.
All right. Next, the Lenovo ThinkBook Plus Gen 6, which is a Lenovo ThinkBook with a display that gets taller if you want.
Yay.
Like it's a laptop, right? It's just a laptop. You open it up, looks like a normal laptop, but then it has the ability for the display to grow upward. It like gets taller because it's got one of those rollable OLED displays in it. And it, gets taller, and then you've got more usable screen space. And you would not be able to pull this out in a coffee shop. You would get way too many of the, "Oh, are you just happy to see me?" comments, or stuff like that.
Try using this on an airplane. That would be absolutely awful. Oh, geez.
And I gotta be honest, I was watching it and I'm like, that's just going to raise the center of gravity for this laptop. How heavy is the base that it's going to keep it from tipping back? If you is that going to be a problem? Is this thing going to constantly be falling over backwards? Yes, you have to keep your hands on the bottom. You're holding this thing down. No, I don't know. Weird. It's a weird application of rollable display technology, I will say. I still don't have my stupid, tube of chapstick that turns into a smartphone. Instead, we have this, but I guess baby steps. Wow. The next one is for all of you that really, really hate your commute and wish it was faster and had less traffic on it. The Xpeng Aero 18, which is a big old van with a helicopter shoved into the back. Basically, you just kind of open up the back of the van, like this big old helicopter pops out. It expands like quadcopter style, and then you have a helicopter thing that is probably not legal to fly anywhere. At least anywhere where there's like a population of humans. So don't know what the use case for this could possibly be. But okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I want one. Not gonna lie. This looks awesome.
And then to go with your van that turns into a helicopter, you can get a computer that shoots keyboards at you with the Auto Key Bow, which is a Linux PC that that sits behind the keyboard, essentially, right? So like instead of having a PC off the backside of your keyboard, it's off the front of your keyboard, such that you like rest your arms on it in order to type. And it has a built-in ergonomic keyboard. So, right? So the keyboard is split in half so that you can kind of sit there and type on it. And then if you want, instead of your keyboard, like a number pad, you make a gesture with your left hand and the keyboard slides into the computer, exposing a number pad underneath it. And then you can type on the number pad, make another gesture, the keyboard pops back out. And on the other side, if you want a mouse, that's cool. It's under the keyboard too. Just lift up your right hand. That keyboard is going to slide back in. You're going to be able to use the mouse and then do that. And the keyboard just like pops in and out of the computer as you go based on the gestures you're making with your hands. It looks really weird. I think it would be really hard to get used to, but there's a subset of people out there that would probably be able to be incredibly productive with this. That like 15 seconds moving back and forth between the mouse and the keyboard, or 15 seconds, what am I saying? 15th of a second moving back and forth between the mouse and keyboard. That's what's screwing up their productivity. And this is going to be way faster than that. So, okay.
I think somehow a Doom modder needs to get a hold of this keyboard thing
and make it play shotgun noises something. Every time the keyboard slides in and out.
A reload sound, or I don't know, something.
I mean, I'll be honest, if this thing did make like a noise every time the keyboard slid in or out, I would be tempted.
It's like the whole satisfying slide of the typewriter.
Yeah.
If it does something like that, that would be great.
Yep. No, totally.
True.
All right. And then last of the weirdness for this year's CES that I wanted to call attention to is the Alcatel WP200 Pro, which is a smartphone with a smartwatch built into the camera module on the back. This thing's freaking weird. So like it's got a gigantic camera bump on the back and it's like extra thick. And if you flip it over, there's like a little thing in the middle. It has a screen on the back of it. You take it off and put it on a wristband and it's a smartwatch now. Oh, that's cool. Turns out smartwatch also has Bluetooth headset built into it. So you can take it off your wrist and stick it in your ear. Well, now it's Bluetooth headset. I don't know what the designers of this phone were smoking when they designed it, but I love it. Wow. And this is what we need more of at CES. Just really stupid concept phones that nobody was asking for and honestly don't really make that much sense. But why the heck not?
That's amazing.
That is awesome.
It's amazing. Wow. Sorry, I'm fascinated with this phone. I'm like looking at it. Okay.
Hey, it's got a terabyte of storage on it.
Yeah. No, it's not a bad phone either. Like decent specs.
Yeah. Smartwatch. It also has Bluetooth headset built into it. That's
24 gigs of RAM. Wow. Wes, I found your next phone.
That's it's pretty cool, actually. All right. Well, I think that's all of the things we want to talk about CES. I'm sure that there's a bajillion other things that were there, but these ones we decided we wanted to at least mention or talk about. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's move on. We do have some Apple news. Ming-Chi Kuo supply chain report. Apple Intelligence isn't driving upgrades.
What? No. So this
weird
was
how
just,
that.
This is a thing. Ming-Chi Kuo released a report about Apple's current sales and supply chain performance, and essentially the takeaway is that people aren't upgrading to the iPhone 16, and the takeaway from that being that turns out if Apple Intelligence is your only selling point for a device, that's not enough of a selling point. Which is the thing that we already knew here, but now Apple is learning it.
Yeah, the fact that both Caleb and I still have phones from the iPhone 13 family of phones says that exact thing.
Yeah.
Yikes. All right. Next thing here, we got the iPhone SE4 expected around the end of the first quarter of 2025.
Yep. So there was a rumor early on in the week that somebody on Twitter, I think, was pushing around that suggested that Apple was looking to release the next generation iPhone SE at the same time as iOS 18.3, which is slated to come out like the end of January. Okay? Turns out what that rumor probably is going to be is that it is going to ship with iOS 18.3 on it. Not necessarily that it will ship at the same time as iOS 18.3. Both Mark Gurman and Ming-Chi Kuo came out after that rumor and said that they were expecting it. Mark Gurman said in the early April timeframe. Ming-Chi Kuo said that it was going to be the middle of the first half of 2025, which is the end of the first quarter / the beginning of the second quarter, which is the beginning of April timeframe. So both those seem to agree. That's kind of when we're expecting the SE4 to launch. Also, we are now predicting that the SE4 is actually going to be rebranded to the 16E. So instead of it, so it'll be a part of the iPhone 16 family, be called the iPhone 16E. And that probably means they're planning on releasing these at a much more regular cadence than once every 5 years. So
hopefully. I also take that to mean that it's going to be a redesign similar to what we've seen. Like, even if it's like that XR body, you know, the older style, but it's still the full display. There's no home button.
Yeah.
Because the SE, you think, oh, that's the one that looks like the old iPhone with the home button, the giant forehead, you know, all that stuff. Whereas, this, if it's a 16 family of phone, it's got to have a different design. I'm
hoping that because it's being branded as a 16, that means that they're going to make it the same size as the Mini would be. Because it'll just have the same design style as the 16, but then just be smaller and cheaper. I can dream. Okay?
I was going to say, that sounds more like a dream or a wish.
Don't take this from me yet.
I mean, this is going to be coming out after you've already bought your Moto Razr anyways, so...
Look,
that would be your luck.
I'm not going to say no.
That would be your luck. All right. Well, we have some Microsoft news, and Bing goes Google.
Listener, this is great. So, I don't know if you're a user of Bing. Maybe you are. You're one of 10. But there was a short period of time earlier this week that if you were to search on Bing if you just typed in the search bar Google and pressed enter or press search or whatever device you're using, however you did the input, that it would pull up a page that looked like the Google's web, like google.com, like had a little picture up, the little Google Doodle thing, like it had something that looked like something that would be on Google's website. Had a search bar there. You scroll down, it has links that are just Google type links. But if you scrolled up, like to the top of the page, because it actually puts you slightly down from the top of the page. If you scrolled to the top of the page, it would then show the Bing search engine search bar, but it made it look just like Google's website, which is very, very interesting. It's like, well, you're searching for Google anyways. Let's just keep you on Bing, but make you think you went to Google.
Yeah, what's funny about this is I didn't hear about this until today. Someone that does use Bing and stuff, apparently they don't need to show me, I guess.
I mean, you aren't searching for Google on Bing either. So apparently, like, what this tells me is that there's a lot of people that for some weird reason are using Bing to search for Google instead of just going to Google.
You know, that is a weird concept.
And it's enough people that it got into the news. Like, people are talking about it. It's not like
true.
Just some, a few people. No, there's enough people that it's being talked about. It's very interesting.
That is. I want to know the numbers. How many people actually fell for this? I want to know numbers. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. We got some general tech news here. We got the OnePlus 13.
Yeah, we got a new phone from OnePlus. It's actually a pretty cool phone. I mean, OnePlus usually does a pretty good job with their flagship phones. The specs on this thing, it's got the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite. So it's not, wait, is that the new, that's not the new chip. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I hate Qualcomm's naming. Oh, so bad.
Well, they keep changing it too. Like, I'm just freaking
stupid. It's got an LTPO AMOLED display that has anywhere from 1 to 120 hertz refresh rate, 6.82 inch display. You can get it with either 12, 16, or 24 gigs of RAM, up to a terabyte of storage, 6,000 milliamp hour battery. Charging, I mean, this is OnePlus, so you can get 100 watt wired charging or 50 watt wireless charging if you use their chargers, which you probably should. Let's see, it's launching with Android 15. The front camera is a 32 megapixel sensor. On the back, it's got a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 50 megapixel 3x telephoto sensor, and then a 50 megapixel ultra wide sensor. And you can get it in black, white, or blue. I like that they didn't, use weird names for the colors. It's just black, white, or blue. And then it's also IP69 rated, not IP68. So the difference there is, I'd seen it. It basically has better, more pressure of water can hit it at basically in your shower, or if you're spraying a hose on or something like that. It can handle the more water in a certain spot, more pressure at a time, basically is what it means. But I mean, it is your typical OnePlus phone. If you are into that design language that they've got with the giant camera bump on the back, like the giant camera circle thing on the back of the phone, and you like the way OnePlus's software works, then you're going to like this phone. Pricing wise, I think I'm trying to find it now. I think it starts at $1,000. So it's full on flagship, which is, been pretty typical with their phones. They don't have two different versions. Like they usually have had a regular one and then a pro one. This is just the 13, and then you can upgrade the specs based on what you want there. So, okay, that's fine. You can purchase it now. There's no pre-order or anything. It's just available to buy. So that's fun. But yeah, I just wanted to mention the new phone from OnePlus. The worst part about this is because it is OnePlus and because they do their own thing when it comes to charging, this does not have Qi 2 support. So we are still waiting on that to happen. But that actually leads me quite nicely into the next thing I want to talk about. Sorry, Wes, I'm going to take this away from you.
Go for it.
Qi 2 is coming to Android this year, according to the wireless, what do they call themselves? The Wireless Power Consortium. That's what it is. People that are in charge of setting the standards for Qi and Qi 2. They have said that they have worked with Samsung and Google, and they are both going to be launching phones with Qi 2 ready to go. Now, there is a potential little twist here because, this is the worst part about what the wireless power, what did they call it? It's stupid. Anyways, the Wireless Power Consortium put out on Twitter a little bit ago saying, get ready for some major Qi 2 for Android announcements in 2025. Plus, at CES, we'll introduce Qi 2 Ready. That's a different version of Qi 2, and that's what has me worried here. So they're saying this is an extension of the Qi version 2 standard that enables approved Qi handsets to deliver a Qi 2 user experience when paired with specially approved cases. That's not Qi 2, Wireless Power Consortium. You even said this literally 3 weeks ago. You said that if for it to be Qi 2, it has to have the magnets and everything you said built into the phone. And now you've changed your mind because now it can be Qi 2 Ready with a case. So I'm genuinely hoping that neither Samsung or Google does that to their phones and are going to jump through that little loophole to say, yeah, our phone's Qi 2. No, it's not. I really hope that the phones themselves are actually Qi 2 compatible, because this is not Qi 2 compatible. This is stupid.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
Rant over.
I like that you got a rant in there. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Meta. Meta is shutting down its fact-checking program.
Yeah, so now initially when I heard this, I'm like, well, that sounds like a bad idea. But then I read a little more into it. So the fact-checking program that Facebook they do it on Facebook and Instagram, that they put into effect in 2016. Basically, like, if you actually look at a lot of third-party, supposedly non-biased studies, like, this is from multiple different universities and companies that are checking these fact-checking things on Facebook and Instagram, they're actually have gotten to be less and less accurate over time.
Yeah.
And so what Meta is planning on doing, instead of doing the fact-checking thing, they're going to do the community notes system, which is similar to what is on Twitter at the moment, which actually has proven to be more accurate in most cases. There are still going to be some outliers, obviously, but overall is a little bit more accurate than what Meta was doing with their fact-checking program. So I don't actually hate this move. It's just interesting that it took them this long to figure out that it may not have been working the way they wanted it to be working.
Now, come on. The way they want it to be they want it to be working in the way that makes them the most money. And honestly, for most of these social media platforms, the less fact there is on there, the better. But no, like, the trouble with what Facebook is doing here, from my perspective, is like, could we have both? Maybe. could we get the fact checkers that are paid, third party fact checkers that are doing this, and the community notes feature?
Well, I think the reason they're not doing that, like I said, there are multiple studies out there that just showed that the fact checking has gotten worse and worse over time. So if they were to somehow make the fact checking better, then I could see that not being a bad idea. But at the moment, it's just not great, according to them at Meta and, again, other third-party studies that have been put out over the years.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Got some more general tech news here. The last piece on general tech is new U.S. Cybertruck Mark coming this year.
Okay, you read that wrong. It's definitely not a Cybertruck.
Oh,
that would be funny, though.
I read trust and Mark at the same time, like truck Mark. Okay. Yep. You can tell I don't read these things good. Thank you, listener.
I mean, to be fair, with the way that the political sphere is going and Elon basically controlling Donald Trump and the Republican Party, a U.S. Cybertruck Mark could be a thing that comes out in the future.
I'm sorry.
If the Cybertruck shows up on the $5 bill in the next 4 years, I'm emigrating. I'm gone.
I didn't mean to bring politics into this for a misreading. I apologize.
No, shame on you. What you did is you brought the Cybertruck into this.
That's what I did.
Don't.
Let me say that again. New U.S. Cybertrust Mark coming this year. There.
Yes, there we go. That's much, much better. And this actually is good news, listener. So you might be familiar with, if you're buying appliances, it's got an Energy Star label sticker on the appliance that you're looking for to tell you how much energy it is going to utilize after you buy it. Something that has been a fairly common standard for, I don't even know how long, quite a while.
It's been a while, like 40, 50 years, something like that.
It's been a long time, yeah. But the FCC and the White House are introducing a voluntary, what they're calling the U.S. Cybertrust Mark for wireless smart home devices, basically to help consumers identify which products actually meet the cybersecurity standards set by the FCC. And I don't hate this. Now, it is only for wireless IoT products. So this is going to be like smart appliances, cameras, fitness trackers, fitness trackers, but it won't do like wired devices or medical devices or PCs, smartphones or routers, like those type of things. But your wireless smart home products can have this mark. There has to be certain standards met, and the products are going to be tested by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And if they meet these standards that are set by them, then it will have this little sticker or label of some sort on there to let you know that it does pass a base set of cybersecurity standards, which, again, I don't hate this. I actually really like this. It does depend on what these standards are, but like probably part of the standards is the NSA has to have access to it. Probably. They're not going to mention that, but it's probably got to be in there.
That's so sadly true.
But again, I don't hate this. I actually kind of like it. So hopefully the standards that they set are decent, at least at a minimum. And they say that will be coming in products sometime this year. Well, it'll go into effect sometime this year, so you may not get products with it this year. It'll probably start coming into products next year. But that is something to keep an eye on if you are in the market for some smart home tech in the future. This new little mark might be there on the packaging, most likely, potentially on the product itself, depending on how they want you to do it. So I like that. So keep an eye out for that in the future.
That's cool. Sorry I mispronounced that, but fair enough.
Yeah, the label is not going to be a little mini Cybertruck.
That would be funny if it was a Cybertruck.
No.
Watch, it doesn't break. Throw a rock at it.
Sure.
All right. Talk about some gaming news here. One kind of bigger thing that Microsoft is doing, they are making changes to the rewards for Game Pass quests. So basically, this is kind of adding more stuff for PC Game Pass members, really, and changing the amounts of rewards points and things in this here. So this does not affect anyone that's just doing the searches or anything like that. Those will all stay the same. What this is doing is you can basically now just earn Microsoft rewards by playing games. Basically, there's a minimum of 15 minutes per game to get this. So right now on the PC, so you can actually track these things now on your Xbox console as well as the Xbox app or the PC app on the computer, and you can look at these, and basically for playing 15 minutes on a game on PC for Game Pass, you get a certain amount of points. Normally it was you could earn up to 250 points a week, but now they dropped it to about 150. But the incentive here is where you get multipliers. So basically, if you do your streak of 5 days for the streak, then you get bonus points for the next week, and then more points. They add up to, I believe, 4 times the points. So if you continuously do this streak, it's kind of like the streak you get on the searches, except it's like their daily, what is it called? Activities or whatever that is. You get 3 of them. You do those,
yeah,
and it just adds. But what this does, this actually adds more points every day, and little extra things like saying if you play multiple games 15 minutes per month, you'll get more. So there's like 4 games up to 8 games. So it's basically play more games for 15 minutes. Because before, what people would do is you could turn a game on before it even loads up, then turn it off and go to the next game. Turn it on before it loads up and goes to the next game. So they're kind of wanting you to have a little time in there. And if you do that, you can get your bonuses up and get up to where you get 4 times the base streak points.
Well, here's the problem. They're just generally speaking not making it easy enough for me to get enough points to actually get my free month of Game Pass every month. So my buffer that I built up is starting to whittle away. So I'm not going to be able to play any minutes before too long, Microsoft. Because I'm not going to have Game Pass because I'm not getting enough value out of it to pay.
Yeah,
however, like $12 a month for it or whatever it is now.
I can't remember how much PC Game Pass
PC
is.
Changed just recently. I can't remember what it went up to.
Especially if you're planning on switching to a SteamOS running machine.
Yeah, Game Pass isn't going to do me a whole lot of good over there. That's for sure.
This is true. So we'll see. I'm bringing it up here on mine here. They're also going to add I believe they said it was non-Game Pass things people can do, so it's not strictly to, obviously, the majority of the points you'll get. So, like, for example, play a game on a console. Like, you can just play a game that doesn't say a Game Pass game. Also, just play a PC game.
Yeah, which, maybe, but, be completely frank with you, Microsoft. None of it's going to make a difference if you don't stop bugging me about Windows 11.
Right.
You kill Windows 10, I'm gone. That's how this plays out. So
don't remind me I have to buy another PC.
Yep.
Don't remind me. But anywho, so they're changing things up. I guess if you want to, you can calculate the streaks and see if this is something. I mean, you just turn on Minecraft and walk away on your PC for 15 minutes, come back, and, well, there you go. I got points and bonus points. I work the system, I guess. But that's there. I guess good. I've always just kind of kept up with the points, so I think it's going to be a little bit more points for me if I keep the streaks up. But like I said, you get home from work, you turn the console on, hit whatever Game Pass game, Vampire Survivors, walk away for a second, or play around a 15-minute round, and hey, I got it. Okay, move on. So yeah, you can take a look at that. They did come out with a YouTube video, but also if you look at your Xbox or have the Xbox mobile app, everything will be on there, even the PC stuff, kind of your tracker, your rewards hub, if you will. So, all right, go ahead and move on. Microsoft did announce today that they are partnering with LG to bring the Xbox app to select LG smart TVs and Game Pass Ultimate Catalog to the gaming portal. So,
your TV's an Xbox.
Yeah, I was just about to say, this is an Xbox now. So, yay? I don't know.
In the end, weren't we really all the Xboxes we made along the way?
They're just trying to tell us we're all Xboxes. Next thing on there, they did announce they're having their Xbox did announce they're having their developer direct live stream on January 23rd. I think this is their third one that they've had since Bethesda. Most of these were for Bethesda, but now they actually have id on there, Compulsion, and I believe a Sandfall Interactive. Sandfall? Why don't I recognize that?
Yeah, I was going to say, that one's not familiar to me.
Anyway, Compulsion Games, and they always leave the little mystery thing, like, oh, what could be the next thing to talk about? They always do kind of that, so we'll see what happens. A lot of people, I have seen some funny ones. People were trying to put in, like, oh, this is going to be the next, what is it, Skylanders? Is that what that's called? Those little miniature things. Like, oh, this is when they're going to revive Skylanders, but it's
yeah. That's what we need.
So we'll see. A lot of people are saying this is the Star Wars game that I can't remember who has a contract with in one of their studios, but who knows? But this is coming up. I always enjoy these ones. These ones are pretty good because some of them are games, and also id is coming up with the new Doom that's coming out. So hoping there's more on that. So, all right, moving on. Speaking of Doom.
Heck yes. Listener, we have now come to the part of the podcast where we talk about the best people on the internet. So, some Doom modders this past week, well, just over a week ago, released it's a kind of a mod, kind of just a full rebuild of Doom, the first level of Doom, that you can play in your browser on itch.io if you would like to, called Doom the Gallery Experience. And what this does is it takes the first level and turns it into a virtual museum space where you get to walk around as Doom Guy in halls full of fine art with classical music playing in the background and look at artwork on the walls.
Is there a video of this?
You can, in fact, interact with the artworks that will pull up your browser and link you to the Metropolitan Museum of Art's website for information about that artwork. You carry around a glass of wine instead of a shotgun or a chainsaw or whatever. And you can pick up complimentary hors d'oeuvres as you go, as well as wads of money that are sitting around the level to purchase things from the gift shop. It also includes a cheese meter that fills up as you consume the hors d'oeuvres that is essentially your health in the game.
Oh, if cheese gave me more health, that would be such a great thing.
The modders basically said that this is just a parody of art gallery experience. One of them who was interviewed said that he works in the art industry as an artist assistant in LA and has been in the process of gallery openings and just through that whole experience multiple times, thinks that it's a nightmare and like these highbrow wine drinking, just talking pompously to each other about that kind of people is sort of who they're parodying about this. I'm gonna be completely honest. The reason that this is awesome is because of the ridiculous juxtaposition of, well, this is clearly Doom, but that's just a wine glass in Doom Guy's hand. And
not only that, they put glasses on him.
Yes, he has glasses in the little window down below. So there you go.
I'm actually watching the first level of this, and oh my gosh, the violin music, the secrets are all there.
Oh yeah, it's chill. So yes,
chill.
Doom, the gallery experience.
Oh, he just picked up a Pabst beer. Look at that. I'm not kidding. Blue ribbon. All right. Sorry, I'm totally entertained by just watching this. Anywho. Listener, just all I have to do is look up Doom, the gallery experience on YouTube and enjoy.
I mean, you can go to itch.io and just play the thing if you want to. Just right in the browser.
That too. Oh, what a good thing to end on right there. Well, dear listener, I believe this is the end of our episode. Unless, Landon, you got one more thing for us?
No.
Ah, dang. I was hoping for some kind of cool mobile thing that you were going to bring up. Nope, not at all.
We already talked about the phone that had a smartwatch that had a headpiece in it. So that's...
How amazing. See, Xbox, what they need to do is partner with that, except it'd be a controller and a headpiece that pops out somehow, little buttons.
Well, no. What it would be would be a controller that is embedded in the Xbox with a phone embedded in the controller with the smartwatch embedded in the phone that has an earpiece embedded in the smartwatch. It's a Matryoshka doll of technology.
It's a Matryoshka doll. So awesome. Oh.
And you can play Doom on every single of those products.
If anyone out there just heard what Caleb said and wants to make that and put a YouTube video together, please, I would love to see that.
Yeah, seriously.
That'd be amazing.
would be great.
Or I just need to get on some AI image generator and just see if I can get something put together. Be crazy. Anywho, I think we're just rambling, but we're going to go ahead and end this episode here. This is our CES 2025 episode. Listener, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. And if you want to get a hold of us or have anything you want to tell us or talk about, you can get a hold of us on our social media platforms as well as callingallplatforms.com. You can take a look over at our YouTube channel, which might get something uploaded. I don't know when. You can yell at Caleb for that. All right, listener, have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.